Okay, so
Really? I thought we covered this.
we're trying to do the negative correlation, positive correlation, very little correlation. We kind of covered it in scatter plots, but then I actually taught it while we did scatter plots. They give it to you in the next section. So I'm just covering it really quickly. So number 4, we would look at it, we would draw a line that goes through. Sorry about that, it doesn't really go through. Let's try that again. A line that goes through. Okay, now how close are they? And if we think about it, how wide is the line, in other words? Right? It's pretty linear, right? It's pretty linear, but it's not very thick. So in this essence, we know that it has a positive correlation. Right? So our R value is going to be positive point, and now we need to know, well, is it a 9? Is it like really close to the line? It's pretty close, but it's not a 9. I would consider this about a 0.8. Okay? So keep that in mind. Then we look at number 5. We do something very similar, except in this case, it's a negative correlation. So our R value is negative, and in this case, negative 0.8. Now, this is a little tighter than the one above. So if you came up with a 9, I could see that. You know, so or R is equal to negative 0.9. Right? I could see that. Because it's pretty tight. Now this one's negative, but it's definitely not tight. Okay? So this was definitely a 0.8. And the last one, right? You can't make a linear correlation, right? Because it's almost a circle, right? It's a half circle, in fact, right? So if you wanted a linear correlation, there would be no linear correlation. But could someone tell me, could there find a curve or a parent function? You remember our parent functions from last year? That could be a correlation to this? Right? So, if we think about it, does that look familiar? Remember our parent function? F of x equals x squared is a quadratic.
It'd be negative though, right?
Exactly.
It's a
The
frowny
quadratic's this,
face. It's a frowny face.
and because it's a frowning face, this would be a negative quadratic, so a negative x squared, right? So it could have a negative x squared correlation, right? But that's a higher level thinking. They're not asking you to do that right now. I'm just kind of introducing that into your train of thought. There is a correlation, it's just not linear. It's a non-linear correlation. And in this case, we could probably find a quadratic correlation to it. Okay? So you could write possible negative quadratic correlation. Okay? But as far as a linear correlation, there is none. An R value would be, what would we call that? Well, it depends. If you wanted to put a value of like this, right? That would be a positive. The R would equal 0.1, right? Because we don't do zeros here, right? I don't believe in zeros unless it's a perfect circle, right? So it would be a 0.1. And then if we went with this one, right, then that would be a negative 0.1. Okay? The reason why that could be either is because it depends on which line you drew. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? And that's homework 1.5.